You do it. You take responsibility, and then you go back and you listen to it. And so many of you say, but I don't like to listen to myself. Well, how are you going to get better? Patience is being able to wait on something to happen with joy. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that everyone struggles with. Every single person out there has an issue with this subject matter, and that is patience. Patience is something that we have to grow all the time. Patience is being steadfast on your journey to your goal. Patience is being able to wait on something to happen with joy and with peace, no matter what's going on. That's what patience is. Waiting with joy, waiting with hope, waiting with anticipation, waiting without becoming negative and disappointed because things aren't turning out the way you want to quickly enough. That is the hardest thing as human beings that we have to do, but it is something that we have to cultivate. I know so many of us just pray and pray and pray for God to give us patience and to help us have patience, because God has infinite patience. And He does. He has infinite patience with us. And He is constantly helping us grow in patience for what we're asking for and for ourselves. So that's something that I see in the studio all the time, is young students needing to learn patience for themselves and patience in the vocal process. They just, if you don't get it right, if you don't get it right, if you don't get it right, and they keep having to do the same things over and over and over. It's always posture. It's always creating space. It's always moving your air with energy. It's always having the energy that you need, and trusting the process and trusting the practice. And so one of the blocks from practicing is because when they try to practice, they don't have patience and they don't have faith in themselves that they do have the information and that they're doing it right. And they want it to be right and perfect all the time, instead of just putting effort in towards what they learned and thinking over what they learned and having patience with the fact that every single week when they come to a lesson, or every single time that they come to a lesson, if you have more than one lesson a week, every single time that you come to a lesson, you learned something new. You learned something that you need to cultivate. No farmer plants and gets the harvest in the same season. You don't plow the field and put the seed in and the fertilizer in the season that you go out and pick the corn or pick the tomatoes. There's a waiting period and a period that you have to go through in order to get that fruit that you want. So you have to keep going and maintain patience. And that's something that we as people need to deal with. So how do we do that? Well, every circumstance that we're in, we have the opportunity to be patient with others and with ourselves. And one of the wisest things that I ever heard is that we pray, God, give me patience to deal with difficult people. And the fact is that I am the difficult person. It's not just the other person that's difficult. It's also me, and recognizing that I am just as difficult as the person that I'm talking about, or the people that I'm talking about. I am difficult too. And so when we look at ourselves in the mirror and we realize that we are difficult, then it's not patience for the other person, it's patience for ourselves. And we start by looking at ourselves and then looking outward. And when we look outward after we've worked on ourselves, then we see that patience for others and realizing that they have just as many troubles as we do, it helps us learn to be more patient with things. Now, students over and over again, they struggle in the singing process because when they go into practice, they feel defeated before they get in there because they feel like they're not equipped. So, one of the things that I want to tell you guys as young singers and as any singer is to make sure that you record your lessons. That's the first thing you need to do, is to make sure you record your lessons. Now, I encourage you to record your lessons, and I've tried to help you record your lessons, but in the past, but the fact is that it's your responsibility to record that lesson. You do it. You take responsibility, and then you go back and you listen to it. And so many of you say, but I don't like to listen to myself. Well, how are you going to get better? You must listen to yourself. You can't just stay in your head. You've got to open up. And just like I said a minute ago, that we must look in the mirror first and deal with the things that we are doing, because you'll actually start hearing how you respond, how you process problems, how you answer situations, how you when you're open and the yes comes, yes, that's how you do it. What were you doing then? What did that sound like? How were you reacting then that was different than before? You can hear all those things and then know that that's how you need to be working at home. And then when you're at home, break it down into small sections. Don't go through the song and go through the song. When you are training for a sport, you train to do certain things at certain times. So you need to break your songs down into sections, A, B, C, D, E, and then break section A down into measures 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8, and so on and so forth, and practice only on the vowels. Practice the opening, practice dropping for your breath, practice moving the air, practice, releasing the tongue. Do the different things that you work on that you hear on the recording or you see on the video that you made, because that's really important, that you see what's happening in your lesson and that you take notes on your music and even on a piece of paper to remind yourself. If I give a correction in a lesson, it would really be great if you as the student picked up a pencil that you brought. Now, I have pencils here, so it's not that big a deal, but it's, if you want to get better, it would be better if you brought your own pencil so that you would be prepared to take that note or to write on that music how you want to remind yourself to do that particular things, especially if I'm telling you multiple times. That's just something that you need to think about. It's like, don't just stand there and go, oh, okay, because you can't rely on your memory. You have to actually rely on what you write down and what you hear and see on the video or the audio recording. Now, that we've talked about that, if you have trouble breathing, and in the breathing process, we actually have Mara Johnson, my assistant, is also our practice coach. And you can contact Mara and she will help you go through and build a practice routine for yourself. And she'll actually listen and go yes to this and no to that, so that you can make sure that you're getting your practice the way that you need to. Now, I'm talking a lot about practice because that's where patience comes in. Because one of the reasons that you struggle with practicing, that I see students struggling with practice over and over again, is because you're impatient with yourself. And then after about 5 or 10 minutes, if you don't think it's good or you don't think it's going to be good, you just judge it just terrible that you're never going to be able to do it and it's just not working and you just can't stand it because all the negative voices in your head are saying, you're not getting it, you're not getting it, you're not getting it, you're never going to get this. And then you throw in the towel and you walk off. And you continually quit on yourself instead of keeping to instead of making sure that you are refocusing and reminding yourself that you are capable, you are talented, you are intelligent, and that you can do these things. And that's something that you've got to make sure that you do for yourself. Put little reminders out there. Put reminders, put sticky notes out there and that say I can. Give yourself affirmations on what you can do. And believe it or not, guys, affirmations do work and they can help you grow patience. Because the first thing we notice is, okay, you know, you've got a beautiful voice. The second thing we notice is I need to be more open. You need to be more open. The throat has got to open so that your communication gets better. And that's one of the things that you've got to think about in your practice and in your own life is that when the throat is open, when we yawn and we open that throat and we maintain that as we're singing, we give freedom to the vocal cords to be able to work. When we give freedom to the vocal cords to be able to work because we're holding that throat open the entire time we sing, then we give freedom for clarity of speech and good communication. And we become more confident in our communication, which is a really big deal. But if you don't have patience for yourself to keep at it and keep working and you think everything needs to happen fast and you keep asking yourself, why are you just not getting this? Why are you just not getting this? Then your patience is going to shrink and your steadfastness and your faithfulness towards getting the job done and doing what you want to do as an artist and getting to that goal and being that singer, it's going to shrink. And you're going to be less patient and less happy with yourself. Patience actually takes you along the road to joy and happiness because it teaches you to be content in the moment of where you are and know that you're not going to stay there. Patience is about that. Patience is about joy in the waiting and knowing that just because you're in one place doesn't mean that you're not going to another place. It's sort of like being at a stoplight. Just because you got stopped by a stoplight and just because it happens to be a longer stoplight than some of the other stoplights you've been at doesn't mean that you're going to sit at that stoplight forever. It's eventually going to change and you're going to move forward and move on. And you've got to look at it that way. If you feel like you're on a plateau, most likely it's because you're not being patient enough with yourself to keep dealing with the moment that you're in and deal with it with a good attitude and deal with it with patience and love for yourself. And that's a really big deal. And you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why you don't want to be patient with yourself. Why you don't want to be committed with yourself. Why you don't want to face things about yourself that you would like to change and that need to be changed then in order for you to move forward. Those are questions that you've got to ask yourself. Why don't I want to be patient with myself? You know, the movie Evan Almighty is a fun movie, but my favorite part of that movie, again, this is Morgan Freeman playing God, and the wife is really frustrated and annoyed at her husband, and she's embarrassed by what he's doing because he's building this ark because he says God told him. And she was talking to Morgan Freeman, not realizing she was talking to God. And the statement is, when you pray for patience, does God just give you patience, or does he give you opportunities to be patient? So what you need to know is that while you're practicing singing, he's also helping you and giving you the opportunity to practice patience for yourself and for others. Because remember that everyone out there has something that they need to deal with, change, practice, and learn, and be aware of. Some of our practice is about awareness. Are you aware of the things that you're doing? Are you aware of how you react? That's why recording your lessons is so important, so you can hear how you react when you hear things that may not be comfortable. Are you open to that and to the change, or do you just shut down and get upset and snarky about it? Are your reactions patient? Are your reactions to listen and be open? Or are your reactions to be reactive and impatient and to punish yourself for not doing everything right? There's this thing called grace. And we need to give ourselves grace. We need to give ourselves the space with grace to learn and to forgive and to love ourselves, even though we may not have earned it at the time. You can't earn your way to forgiveness. You cannot earn your way to love. You cannot earn your way to salvation. So, if you're trying to save yourself and, whatever you're trying to save yourself from, and you have this fear that things aren't going to work out, then you're going to constantly be down about yourself. You're going to be constantly self-critical. You're going to fill yourself with all of this negative stuff, and then you're going to move on from your dream and do something else that's easier, that doesn't require you to actually change and actually look outside the box and actually get out of your comfort zone. You're not going to do those things because you're not willing to be patient enough through the process and to trust that you're going to get through and that you're going to be able to walk on and do what you want to do and continue on and continue on and continue on. I'm grateful right now for all the people that have been patient with me in my life. I'm grateful for my teacher, Neil Seamer, who has been infinitely patient and been willing to tell me the truth even when it's hard. I'm grateful to my friend Eugene for being able to do the same thing and for continuing his friendship and loving me and support and being loyal and always there. I'm thankful to my mother-in-law for telling me things that I need to know and for loving me and encouraging me to trust in people and to trust in the people that want to surround me with love and support. I appreciate my husband for always putting up with my crazy. I'm thankful for that because they are infinitely patient with me. And they're constantly teaching me where I need to change so that I become more loving and more patient and better able to shine my light and better able to have a voice and to open up and open that throat and to breathe and to love more willingly and more easily. I'm thankful to them for telling me, do this. It would be great if you could try doing this, and even though it's hard to hear sometimes, it's necessary. And I always want to face myself in the mirror and improve and change. And I think that's something that you young students need to understand, to be patient enough with yourself that when you hear things that maybe you don't like or maybe make you uncomfortable, that uncomfortableness that you're feeling is about being guided toward the change that you need. So being afraid of it and not being patient with yourself in order to be able to deal with it is something that you've got to take a look at and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Were they just being mean and hateful? Or am I uncomfortable because I just heard the truth and I don't really want to dig down deep and core that problem out so that I can be more patient and more joy-filled in the work towards the goals that I want to reach? That's a question. Every opportunity that we have right now is an opportunity to be patient with ourselves and with others, to be patient through the process that we're going through. And we need to practice that every single day and leave ourselves open and be aware of what's happening around us and within us. So it's not just body awareness that we need as singers, which we do need extreme body awareness, but it's also mental awareness, physical awareness, and spiritual awareness that we need, because all three of those things have to work together in order to sing well. And if one of them is out of balance, then all of them are going to be out of balance. And we're going to have more trouble producing what we want in the world. What brings us the most joy is giving that gift of song and giving that gift of our voice. And we need to make sure that we are all about that all the time. Being patient in our practice, being okay with waiting to get better, to be okay with continuing every single day, just like a farmer, to water it, to fertilize it, to weed it, and to wait till the season where the fruit is produced to know that the work is paid off. Remember, if you plant early in the spring, you may not see the harvest for some of that until the fall, which is, 4 to 6 months later. That's something that you need to know. I have so many people to call me on the phone and say, I want to take voice lessons. And then they come to the lessons and go, how long is it going to take before me to be good? Before I'm really going to get this and I'm good. And I don't know. It's going to take as long as it takes. And if you don't slow down and help yourself, then it's going to take longer. That's something you need to know. That we study for years, we don't study for hours or seconds or minutes. We study for years. We work at our craft for years. It takes time to become great. And just because you're talented doesn't mean that you're great at it yet. There are a lot of child prodigies out there, and they go on these shows and and everybody oohs and ahs. But here's the thing, their body's going to grow and things are going to change. And that's not necessarily going to be maintained, the oohs and ahs, because everybody oohs and ahs over a child. When a child can really do something that's impressive, of course. I've worked with a lot of children over the years, and that's what I notice. Everybody is spectacular and they tap into the joy, but when their voice changes and as they grow and things get more difficult, all the oohs and ahs go away and it's not as charming anymore. So you've got to continually work and maintain. You've got to continually learn and grow and be patient with that. Because what you were at 10, 11, 12 is not going to be what you are at 20, 21, 22, 25, 30, 40. It's not going to be the same. And if you want to be great and have and maintain stamina and long-term career, then you've got to really know that you're going to continually grow every day. There are so many children out there that start out with all this stuff and then you never hear about them again. And everybody oohs and ahs about how great it is, and then nobody ever hears from them again. The change happened and the shine wore off. So what do you do when all the excitement goes away and you're left with yourself? You look in the mirror. You start learning to wait and have joy in the waiting, and you work. And you learn to open the throat, and you keep your posture up, and you get better at breathing, and you get better at opening, and you get better at clarity of speech, and you keep yourself balanced, and you stay open to growth, and maintain patience with yourself, and do all the good things that you can. You water every day, you fertilize when you need to fertilize, and you keep weeding until the harvest comes. That's what you do. And that's how you maintain patience. And that's how you get great in anything that you're ever wanting to accomplish in your life. All right, I hope this helped you today. I hope that you gained something out of it. I hope that thinking about patience and knowing that you get opportunities day after day after day to be patient is going to give you something to look for and to work on. I am so excited that I'm going on a trip soon. My husband and I are leaving for Hawaii, so I am getting all of these great things put together, and the podcast is still going to drop every single Monday, and we're over 400, so we're shooting towards 500 downloads right now. So please make sure that you share this, you listen, you like it, you comment. Make sure that you subscribe to the channels. You can find me on TikTok at The Naked Singer. You can find me on Instagram at Naked Singer Blog. You can find me on Facebook at Naked Singer Blog. You can also make sure that you send me DMs if you've got any questions. Make sure you really comment because I want you in on the discussion. We want to discuss how we can help you more. And what I noticed is that people like to like things a lot and they like to heart things a lot, but they don't like to actually engage. Well, part of what we do as singers is we engage with our audiences. So make sure you engage with me because I want to hear from you. If there's any question that you ever have, we're here. You can also go to the website, www.McDanielmusicstudios.com. And we can't wait to hear from you. We can't wait to help you. And we can't wait to see how much more this podcast is going to do. Okay, I think that's all for now. As always, I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer.